This is the 19th season of Bass Talk Live. BTL is presented by Bass Cat Boats, Strike King Lures, Aftco, Pro Guide Batteries, X-Zone Lures, Shoreline Boat and RV Repair, Spro, Gamakatsu, Big Bite Baits, The Bass Tank, Denali Rods, Beatdown Outdoors, and Sunline.
BTL coming at you.
Good morning, and welcome to another exciting edition of BTL Bass Talk Live, where we're going to talk about bass fishing. Who knows what else I'm going to talk about? It's been an eventful 24 hours. Just made it back from the Dick Hiley St. Jude Bass Classic that you've heard me talk so much about up in Wabasha, Minnesota. But that event was a Saturday and a Sunday. And then yesterday we weighed in at 4:05, and it's about an 11 and a half to 12-hour drive, which is a little bit over 12 hours. And I said, you know what? I think I can make it back for BTL on Monday morning. So I will bring in our guest today right off the hopper. I'd be interested to see if our man Josh Bertrand. What's up, Josh? How are you doing?
What's the word, man?
Have you ever done one of the, like, how often do you still do that, or are you past that now in your tournament days? Of just those crazy all night drives where you're just ready to get home, or you have to go somewhere and it's 12 to 20 hours straight through?
Yeah, it's funny. I think when everyone first starts out, especially like traveling to tournaments, you're so fired up about it. I mean, I remember the first year that first couple years that I fished the Opens back east, I would get with my buddies, and we all had jobs, right? So we would just leave from work. You'd work till 4 and then just get in the truck and start driving all night. And those days are gone for sure. I mean, I think part of it is just how much it wrecks you the next day. In your case, last night, you had to get back because this is work too, right? So you had to get back.
Yeah, 100%. And I've been missing a bunch just because of my travel schedule. And then I wanted to get home. But on the way there, I have learned, and this is kind of what you're saying, on the way to tournaments, I have learned it is much better to do 2 12-hour days or 2.5 days to get somewhere instead of 20 hours straight. Just because, like you said, I mean, you're in a brain fog for the next day and a half, which then would be half of your practice. So you're really screwing yourself by trying to get there early by driving through. You're costing yourself.
Yeah, that's huge, man. And the other thing too is, like, you do it when you have to, but dude, I would say I don't like driving in the middle of the night, stopping at gas stations at 2:00 in the morning, man. I mean, that's really when the shady stuff happens.
That's so much better for me than in the daytime when there's people and you have to do human interaction.
I hear you, dude. I don't know, dude. I feel I've seen some shady characters at gas stations at 2
lurking around the boat.
Morning. Yeah, it's just, I get it. Like, you pull in and out, and that's nice. There's no traffic, but there's more animals on the road. I don't know. I guess it could go either way, but
I had something last night, and it was the weirdest thing. And it was actually something living. I did not I pull over when I get tired and I sleep at a truck stop. I have a little blanket and a pillow, and then I just put my seat back and sleep. So I'm trying to be as safe as I can about it. But I had something like a small marsupial, but it wasn't a possum. It didn't look like a it looked like some sort of weird hybrid cat. And I might have been really tired, but it looked like it ran out I was in Kansas on a desolate highway. I mean, not a light in any direction at like 3 a.m. And it looked like it ran out in front of my lane and then turned towards my truck and ran directly towards the truck underneath it. It was kind of creepy.
Yeah, he came after you.
I don't think it was an ocelot. It wasn't a bobcat. I don't know what it was. It was like a weird hybrid cat thing.
Have you ever heard Lucas's story about when he tried to drive cross country from somewhere to California? He said he had tried to pull, the straight through deal, and he gets across the California border, and he sees like a giant rat, like the size of Godzilla, off in the distance, and he's like, "All right, it's time for me to take a nap."
Yeah. Yeah, that's it. Like I said, I've told this story on the show before, but Jeff Creed always told me when you see your third invisible thing, it's time to pull over.
That's good.
Like,
That's good.
like a moose in Texas or something like that, where you're like, have you ever done it where you're and like I said, I do not do this anymore. I pull over, I take it. Like, I didn't ask you until yesterday to do this show because I wasn't sure what it was going to be. And then when I texted you and said, "Hey, are you still up?" I just wanted to let you know, hey, if I get too tired, I won't be back by 8:30. So we might have to push it later. So I'm taking precautions, But yeah, he said, when you see your third invisible thing, that's when, have you ever hit the brakes on something that doesn't exist?
I don't know about that. I don't know
I've
about
done that.
That's a good one. How about when you get out at the gas station, you don't think you're that tired, and then you get out and it takes you like 4 tries to get your credit card into the slot. You're
Yep.
like, okay, yeah, I'm pretty tired.
Yeah, I've done that. Yeah. I just stood outside of a couple of gas stations last night. But anyway, I got back from the Dick Hiley St. Jude Bass Classic. We'll talk about it more in the back half of the show. But a fantastic event. If you follow my Instagram story, I kind of documented all of that. Fat Cat Newton was there, emceed the event. Over 1 million. 1 million, like 5,000 some dollars raised by 78 teams for one tournament, Josh. It is the biggest fundraising tournament in the world.
It's amazing.
Over $1 million bucks, like $1 million. Like that's what they're doing for like PGA tour events and stuff like that. And this is 78 dudes. I'm by far the farthest traveler who's fishing in the tournament. Most of it's Wisconsin. I think a few Iowa, Minnesota obviously has a vast majority of it, but over $1 million bucks for 1 year, the 25th anniversary of it.
It's hard to wrap your head around, man. I mean, how do they get it to that magnitude?
You got a lot of dedicated people who have been doing it for 25 years. And then St. Jude is an easy organization to raise money for because of how legitimate they are and how, you have any kid who has childhood cancer and stuff. If you go to St. Jude, you get zero bill. They house you, take care of all of this stuff. Dylan was the kind of the guest of honor, and he was 19. He found out he had like an inoperable brain tumor when he was 7, and they've been like working on it through St. Jude's, this whole thing. But he loves fishing, and he lives on St. Clair. So nice. We got Gresham, and she's like, "Well, is there any?" I said, "Well, is there anything you think you could do like with professional anglers?" And I said, "Well, who's his favorite angler?" And she said KVD. So I went through, JD Blackbird.
Yep.
I think it's Pro Fishing Management. We've had him on the show before. And he was able, I said, "Dude," I said, "you think there's any way? Here's what's going on." And he got with Kevin a couple months ago, and Kevin did this awesome video. "Hey, Dylan, I hear you live in my neck of the woods, blah, 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 that you like to fish." I mean, he did like a 3-minute video during the year, and they played it at the banquet. It was really cool.
I'm not surprised. He's the man.
Yeah. It was really good stuff. So fishing was interesting. I talked to you a little bit last night. It'd been a minute since I had gotten on a smallmouth trap bite. When was the last time you were on like a really, I wouldn't call it good. We finished 30th out of 80 teams. But a smallmouth just burning a trap in less than 3 foot of water. You ever gotten on that bite before?
Dude, I've caught some smallmouth on traps. I don't know if I've ever been on like a solid deal where, hey, this is an awesome deal, we're on it and we're doing it. It sounds like amazing fun, but it also screams lost fish too. Did you guys lose many? Or were they zero, huh?
The first day it was it was horrible. We caught them on, I think we caught 2 on a trap and that was it. But on day 2, it's a 6 fish limit. I think I caught like 9 keepers on it and went 9 for 9.
That's amazing. That's amazing.
Yeah, it is one of the coolest bites ever. You spent a lot of time out of La Crosse with Elite Series events. Has MLF done anything out of La Crosse?
We did the super tournament there a few years ago. So I think I've had maybe 4 for sure. Maybe 5 tournaments up there.
Okay, because we were pool 4 and 5.
That's
and La Crosse. Yeah,
Yeah.
lacrosse is just a couple pools below. So very similar, but I mean, each pool fishes differently. But dude, that's such a dynamic fishery, and there's so many decisions to make, and you kind of I mean, are you like going to places like that where you have a bunch of decisions? Or I would imagine, based on where you from and how you grew up, like river fishing probably is something that's still something you're trying to wrap your head around.
Yeah, it depends. I mean, it's funny how some places, suit you well and some don't. That one, dude, I think I've made the cut every time except one time. So I've had fair luck up there, and I do like going there. I like the fact what really sends me for gives me trouble is tidal fishing. Um, I've done okay on rivers that aren't tidal, but the tidal ones give me a lot of trouble, which we got a couple on the schedule this year, unfortunately. But I really like fishing up there, and it is so dynamic. You can go fish backwaters and fish slop. You can fish main river and catch smallmouth. You can fish wood, grass, riprap. You really have a lot of different options on what you can do, man. In every pool over there. I fished those pools up there too, and man, they're great.
I'm not giving anything away because this is like a thing for everybody that's up there, but I was not familiar, and I rode as a co-angler. I was called the passenger princess this week because I just got in the boat and I ended up watching the OU Texas game actually during the tournament day on the first day, which might be why I only caught one boomer sooner. But I was not aware that sand was such a thing. Like, it's all, especially this time of year, like everybody, all they were talking about was sand this and sand that. And where's the sand? And those fish, I guess, just push bait fish up on sand and go ham on it. So when you're fishing it, I mean, it looks like beach sand, but it's on the bottom of the river in certain areas because of current and deposits and stuff. And that's like a deal. I still can't wrap my head around like how to fish it, how to figure out where they were. Cause we'd roll up on sand and he'd be like, we're fishing sand. I'm like, well, where am I casting? He's like, all around. He's like, they're just somewhere here.
That's interesting.
It still totally mind screws me as to how to figure out. And then, you talk to some of the other guys and they get, yeah, there's little deals in it and stuff. But as a whole, just straight like granular sand was the main pattern.
Yeah, you don't hear that get thrown around, and yeah, you can see there's a reason they're there. There's a drop in the sand, like you said. It's the current's getting broken somehow, and that's why they're there. Or like you said, maybe they're using it to push bait and stuff. But that's pretty funny, dude. You're totally right. Like, where else in the country do you go where people are using even just the term sand?
Yeah, that's what I said. Have you ever fished anywhere where the primary pattern was sand?
I guess some rivers. I mean, like if you look at the Colorado, out west where I live, if you look at the Colorado River, if you're fishing the main river, you're fishing sand, and so I guess it makes sense. That current it moves sandbars, sand point, sand drops, and that's going to position the fish. But I don't know, man. I mean, I guess dude. How about smallmouth, dude? I mean, smallmouth love you look at some of the big fisheries up north, smallmouth do love to get on sand flats and cruise. So I guess if you talk smallmouth, they're creatures that love to get on that sand as well.
It's kind of a pain in the ass too, because it was like sand mixed with dying eelgrass.
Oh.
So it was just one of those deals where you're slapping your bait after every single cast. But when you lock up with the 3.5, 4 pound smallmouth, it all makes it worthwhile. Like the second morning, I was like, we started an area he'd fished like 6 times and we hadn't had a bite. And he's like, I think we're going to start there. And I was like, oh, fantastic. And one of those where you're not really sold on what your partner's doing.
Yeah.
And we roll up and I'm like haphazardly casting and I like loads up on the eelgrass. And then it's like, just start shooting off. And I'm like, dude, I snagged a carp, and you could see the boil because it was that deep. And, I saw the carp, the back of the carp and everything. And I'm just cranking it in and and it comes up and it's a 4 pound smallmouth that has eaten. And it was the smallmouth back that I saw, and I just didn't think fish could live up there. And then that kind of kicked things off, and I started fishing with a mission. So
yeah, you're like, oh, this actually works.
Yeah. Something else that where something works would be Lake Mojave, the second year of the One Bass US Open, Billy Egan's deal. And that's next week, right?
Yeah, it's coming right up. I'm actually leaving tomorrow. So I'm excited for it. You're a previous champion of that tournament.
Co-angler champion, yes. And I'm kind of upset now because the last year's AAA champion got an ATV as well as the 9,000 cash. I just got like $10,000 cash, and I've got 2 acres, and I feel like an ATV would be nice to check the perimeter of my 2 acres on.
Yeah, you could have used that thing.
I'm excited to go back. It was kind of a unknown last year. It was like, hey, are they going to be able to fish mead? Are they going to have to move it to Mojave or a different lake like that? This year, it was kind of expected that without crazy things happening at mead, it would be back on Mojave. They announced it early that it was on Mojave. If I remember last year, it fished good, but it also fished small. Now you've got guys with more experience, guys expecting it to be there. Is it going to be a different rodeo this year than when you dropped, what'd you drop, 20 a day last year to win the thing over Spencer Sheffield?
Yeah. It was an awesome tournament last year, and it's an awesome lake. I mean, it couldn't be more different than Lake Mead. Just for a little background on the 2 lakes, Lake Mead it's a giant lake, one of the biggest in the country, and the water level fluctuates a lot. Unfortunately, usually the fluctuation is going down, and that's been part of the problem. Is the water level is basically so low, and it got so low last year that there wasn't any access to have a tournament. You've got this lake that is over 100,000 acres, and there was one boat ramp that had 2 puncher boat on the entire lake. The whole city of Las Vegas is using that ramp, and you couldn't have that along with a 200 boat tournament on that body of water. And this year, the water's actually up a little bit, and it's actually got a couple more ramps in the water, but it's still sketchy. And as far as that goes, and Mojave went so well last year. The city of Laughlin really got behind it, and I think everyone liked it being at Mojave. So I think eventually it'll end up back at Mead if that water can come up. We need another wet winter or 2. But, for now in the near foreseeable future, I think next year they've already announced it back at Mojave as well. Mojave is it's the lake below Mead on the Colorado River. So you've got the famous Hoover Dam, and below that dam is Mojave. And being below Mead, they're able to keep it basically full. It's about 5 feet low right now, but it stays above 90% full all the time. And it's still a pretty big lake. It's a river lake. So basically it's very long. I would say like from dam to dam, it might be 60 miles. But if you look at it on a map, it's not that wide. It's pretty narrow in most parts. And it's a lot of the same. It's one of those lakes where there are hundreds of points that come out and hundreds of narrow pockets and bays. So, it's really a lot of the same. Obviously, there we go. That's a cool view right there. There are things that can distinguish it. And so there's Mead up on top. You can see how much wider Mead is.
Right here.
Yep. You got the big basins right there. And then Mojave down below. There's current flowing through it at all times. So like the current runs north to south. So, yeah, you can see how narrow it is up north. And then you got the big basin right there. That thing gets super rough when you have wind, and you get that desert wind that'll blow, 30 plus miles an hour. It happens a couple times every week. And man, if it's blowing against the current, it gets unbelievably rough.
How big is this? Is this bigger than it looks on Google Earth right here? Dude,
you get into, I'd say that is, I could be off by a couple miles here, but I would say that's maybe 4 miles wide.
Oh, wow. So it's like, can you see the other side at all times?
Yeah,
if you're on one side.
You can definitely see the other side, but it's pretty big, man. It's pretty big.
I did not realize this is one of the goofiest looking fisheries I think I've
It's
ever
weird,
seen.
right?
Is
I
this where
mean,
you
look
guys
at
take out of right there?
that's it. That's Catherine Landing. And if you just look on Google Earth at the cuts and coves and pockets, they all look the same, right? It's just they're not the same, but they look the same. It's very clear water. You can see down there on that lower end over 20 feet, no problem.
Oh wow.
And then you get up to the upper end and you could see usually about 10. You get a little bit more color, but it's still pretty clear.
So it's a lot cleaner than the top end of mead on a typical year.
Yeah, so like mead, one of the big keys that guys do is they run up to that dirty water, right? Like the river arms that come into mead, they get dirty, and this one really doesn't have that. You don't have like a dirty end with a lot of brush or anything like that.
Is this all
clear.
man-made stuff, or is this like weird glacial? What is
Definitely
that?
not man-made, dude. No, those are like just the sides of hills. You know what I mean? Sides of hills, and it's all rock, for sure.
Carp Cove. That sounds like that's just a great one to stay out.
Stay out of there, boy. Yep.
There's Pot Cove. That we are at the U.S. Open. There might be some that.
No comment.
Oh, there's every single one of these things has a weird name on it. Cottonwood Cove, Sandy Point Cove, Mesquite Cove, Bill Gaze Cove. You wonder how they get their names, how all these coves get their names, because they're officially named. We're looking at Google Earth.
How about, okay, there's a couple, not necessarily specifically here, but like, you ever notice that every lake that has one or two coves or creeks that are named the same thing? Yep. Like there's a Caney Creek or a Caney Cove in every lake in Texas. Yep. Arizona, there's Cottonwood Cove. There's a government wash or government cove in almost every single lake in Arizona. Is there anything like that in Oklahoma?
Yeah, I'm trying to think of a creek, but there's a creek that's on every single like southern lake.
Yeah, there's got to be some.
Yeah, it's very similar. Eufaula has 3 different creeks that are all named the same thing.
That's real smart.
Yeah. That's how they do it.
What's the name of the creek?
I can't remember, but I know that that's where the guys who win the BFLs always just say they win it out of that creek because it doesn't narrow it down.
Brilliant.
So if you take out at the dam here at Catherine, the screen's not flashing for you, is it? Because
I can see well.
Okay, it's flashing over here, but I got it. So if you take out at Catherine's Landing, how long are we talking to get? Like, let's say you want to fish the upper end. How long are we talking to get? I mean, is that a long? That's
a haul, dude. That's a haul. That's 50 miles for sure.
Can you run all the way to the dam?
I've never been all the way up there. I would imagine you could get fairly close, and then they probably have some serious security.
Is that the Hoover Dam?
That's the Hoover Dam. Yeah. So they're not going to let people get too close. I mean, you're not going to be able to fish the tail race of the Hoover Dam.
that would be a sick pattern.
Dude, can you imagine just the views and stuff? But yeah. There's a ramp called Willow Beach way up there. So the water coming out of Mead is so cold that it's going to be like in the 60s in the summertime, man. It'll be on that lower end of the lake. It'll be in the 80s, but people catch giant striper up at the top there because it's deep and the water is so cold. There's trout. People catch trout up there all year long. It's a totally different deal than down lower on the lower end.
But I mean, you can actually go up and it looks like this.
You just went by the ramp, I believe, dude. There's a ramp up there called Willow Beach, and a lot of people launch up there.
But this is like the Colorado River.
That's for sure.
It looks just like the Colorado. I mean, it is the Colorado River. This is not a lake up here. If you go up in this stuff, does anybody? I have no idea where you caught them, so I apologize if anybody.
No problem, man.
I don't want you to give anything away, but does anybody go up into the Colorado River in this thing and actually fish the river?
Yeah, guys go up there and fish the shade on the walls and stuff like that. Now, when the water's totally up, like it's 5 feet down now, but when the water's up, it doesn't look like it, but there's a ton of grass and tules, like pockets with tules and stuff, and
kind of like
frog them and flip them. Yeah, yep. It's like, it's when the water's full, there's a lot of largemouth that are caught.
There you go, right there.
Yep, there's the ramp. As they draw it down in the fall, they draw it down 5 or 10 feet. It pulls a lot of those fish out of the tules. So it kind of takes that bite away. But anyways, It's a neat lake, man. It's really unique.
Do you see the wildlife and stuff on it like you do on Mead?
So you see some, man. That's some pretty barren desert.
Yeah,
Like in
there's
Phoenix
like
where
look
I
at the
live, that is the most arid, barren. It's the Mojave Desert, and there ain't much out there, dude. There's not a lot out there. If you go in the desert around Phoenix, you have like a lot more wildlife, plants. It's much more fertile. But dude, out there, stuff that you got to be tough to live in that desert. You have some of the burros, some of the donkeys, some sheep. Excuse me. You see a lot more sheep up on Mead, but
yeah.
dude, there's rattlesnakes, there's scorpions, there's all the classic desert stuff that you don't want to mess with out at Mojave, man.
That's really cool. That's the first time I've looked at that on Google Earth. If you're listening on iTunes, we kind of had the Google Earth pulled up there, and it looks like a very tough fishery to kind of figure out. But I mean, I would assume just like those guys on the river have things that they're like, well, yeah, sand and sand flats and drops like that with you and growing up guiding in Arizona and what Lake Pleasant. That was one of them, right? Is
Yeah,
that kind of
yep, yeah.
and all of the desert lakes out there, there are just kind of rules or guidelines that go with fishing desert lakes that kind of help narrow it down so it kind of doesn't look all the same.
Yeah, man. I mean, one of those things. The Colorado River is really unique. It's a lot different than, believe it or not, it's clear, but those lakes are a lot different than the lakes around the Phoenix area.
Mhm.
Some of our Phoenix area lakes fish a lot like Texas lakes, but man, that Colorado River is really unique. And one thing about it is, the fish populations aren't great. And unfortunately, you see it a lot especially for this tournament coming up. Is man, you find something good, you can wear it out and it doesn't reload. You find a good spot and it's got 3 fish on it, and you catch all 3 and it's done. Like, you don't come back until next month. And it's getting burnt up as we speak right now. You got guys fishing out there for 6, 7, 8 days of practice. But that's one thing, you got to fish new water when you're out there a lot. Like, you just can't go back to the same spot day after day and catch fish, because as you can see, it's not the most fertile place on the planet. That's for sure.
Bait fish wise, are there other shad?
Yeah, it's primarily shad. You've got threadfin shad. You've got some gizzard shad. Dude, the striper are so plentiful that the baby striper are a big bait fish too. And you probably saw this when you went to Mead. But if you get around some of that deeper grass in, 5, 10, 15, 20 feet of water, the baby striper are all over it. And that's something that those bass will eat also. And a lot of crawfish, a lot of small bluegill. Nothing crazy. I'd say the craziest bait fish would be those baby striper.
Do you get it though, where if you're throwing a topwater or fluke or something like that, those striper will just come unplugged on it, and sometimes they become an issue? Like, I mean, I know one day I spent in Vegas Wash, it was like cannonballs and it was so much fun, but then you're like, okay, we gotta try to focus on a bass here.
Yeah, exactly. They do, and the striper are a lot bigger in Mojave than Mead.
Oh, really?
Yeah, believe it or not, they are. Everything's bigger, just I think the stable water level and stuff. But yeah, dude, they can be really cool for the striper fishermen, but a real nuisance for the bass fishermen, man.
October 16th through 18th, back with Bass Cat Boats and Mercury Motors as sponsors. Josh, you got a $75,000 cash check along with a Bass Cat. Was it a Cougar that you got?
Yeah, it was. Yep.
A Cougar that was presented to you by the one and only Rick Pierce, who after the event we will have Rick on to talk about the U.S. Open. Were you able to sell that? I mean, I know you're a nitro guy by trade, and with your sponsorship, were you able to move that rig?
Yeah, it was a nice boat, and I sold it to a friend whose son fishes he's a very competitive high school angler, so that thing's already caught a lot of fish. There's some good fishermen, and they are putting that thing to good use.
Very nice. And then weight wise, it seemed like, I mean, you and Spencer kind of ran away with it. So the one thing about the US Open is like a quarter pound is like a pound anywhere else. So if you win by like a pound on me, that's basically like winning on Gunnersville by 4 pounds. Would you not say that's a fair assessment?
Well, on mead especially, because the weights are so low, right?
Mhm.
Like 10 pounds on mead is like an epic day during the fall. 8 pounds is pretty average. So it's a big difference. But Mojave, dude, the fish are a lot bigger. So you see a lot more separation in the weights. And you can see, just if you look at the results, it's not easy to catch fish out there. But when you do, the quality is pretty good. So, there's a lot of non-limits and a lot of guys, especially 3 days in a row. I mean, catching a limit 3 days in a row in this tournament it's a challenge, man. If you did that, you pretty much got paid.
Very nice. All right, we're going to take our first break. And when we come back, I want to talk to Josh about a technique that you have been doing for, since I've known you, but that has it's now like the Texas rigged power worm of the 1990s, in my opinion. And I want to see if you've kind of felt that pressure on it. I think you and I, you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
I'd just be interested in your take because you're an OG guy on it. And now, everybody's like, oh, look what I'm doing. And they feel, a lot of guys throwing it. So, all right, it's
good.
BTL on a Monday. The Sooners are 6-0. For those of you that are keeping track after a epic last second win. That's like boat flipping a 6 on your last cast to fill out your limit. I was running down the lake and I had it on my phone. Die hard. During the tournament day and right when Gabriel threw that touchdown pass, we were going about 60. And I'm screaming, yeah! And he shuts down. He's like, what's wrong? And I'm like, we just scored. And he's like, oh my gosh, Adam was. But I watched the whole game on the cell phone. I did very little fishing for 2.5 hours on day one of the tournament.
What a day, though, man, to get to fish on a cool fishery like that in a cool tournament and watch your team win. It doesn't get much better.
Yeah. Are you a college football guy or just
mainly pro, casual? Dude? Okay. Mainly pro. I'm really big into fantasy. We got a league
Arizona
the guys in the league. Yeah, I like the Cards, man, even though they don't do well. But when you get into, the whole deal with fantasy, you get into that and you just get more into watching players and watching games in general than caring about who wins. It's a good and a bad thing, but I love to watch.
I think it's amazing for fantasy fishing. And then you just have to realize that if you're a high percentage owned angler and you suck, there's literally 5,000 to 6,000 fishermen that are just talking mad trash about you until they forget about it until the next tournament.
Yeah, for sure. Seriously.
I know. I'd be like, how in the hell does this guy go out on this body of water and come in with 4 freaking pounds? A trained monkey could catch more fish than that. I'm going to tell him, I'm going to call him up and tell him that he ruined my damn fantasy team.
You can't have a bad tournament and let it go it doesn't go under the radar, does it?
No, it doesn't. All right, BTL on a Monday with Josh Bertrand. We'll be back right after this.
The new Puma STS has been redesigned from the ground up. With the angler, design, function, and performance in mind, nothing on this new offering was compromised, and the only thing carried over from the previous version is the name. Based on the Soft Touch series hull that started with the flagship Jaguar, this new model is nimble and performs incredibly well at all speeds with either a 250 or 300 horsepower engine. Featuring a new 96-inch wide-body footprint, this hull measures out at 20 foot 7 inches in length. Industry-leading design coupled with tournament-winning performance. The Puma STS from Bass Cat. Feel the rush.
Everything you need, one legendary brand. Taiwan Strike King.
Elite Series Pro Daryl Gleason here. My Pro Guide batteries keep me going on those long tournament days and long practice days. Always plenty of juice, never fail. The best part about Pro Guide batteries, it's the people behind the company. They have over 40 years experience in the battery business, keeping all of us fishermen out on the water longer, catching more fish. Check them out at ProGuideBatteries.com.
What's up, Bass Talk Live fans? Brandon Polnick here. And ever since I won a couple Bassmaster Elite Series events on X-Zone Lures, I've been getting a bunch of questions of what makes them so special and different. And really, the truth is, it's in the details. The little details, things like no cheap fillers in their plastic. That gives you more lifelike action, more realistic and vibrant colors. But don't just take my word for it. Go to www.xzonelures.com and check them out for yourself.
The great thing about the new Sensation soft plastics from Big Bite Baits, heavily scented, super soft, buoyant, comes in 7 great new shapes. I've got a couple of them of my signature series, the cliffhanger worm and the ramtail craw. Great for a flipping jig, football jig, swim jig, all that. Several other great shapes. Really excited about it. We've worked over the last year, catches fish all over the country, and I think it's going to catch fish for people everywhere you try it.
The Spro Little John crankbait has been around for almost 15 years, and it is one of my go-to crankbaits whenever I need a fish in the boat, so you can never have enough new colors. That's why Spro's coming out with a handful of new colors, including Pearl Shad, which has this bleached out white look, but it's got this pearlescent, really pretty. We've got Copper Shad, which looks amazing in the water. It's got that purple flake on the back, really pops in the water. And then if you want some real pop, we've got Sparkle Shad, nothing but sparkles all over this thing. And then last but not least, we've got the matte Sexy Shad, just a really different looking color for a crankbait. So you want to give them a little different look, that matte Sexy Shad is definitely the one to go with. All these colors are available in the original Little John and the MD.
All right, welcome back, BTL, on a Monday. I do want to remind everybody for their tackle needs, head over to Omnia Fishing. And there will be an Omnia guest, Luke from Omnia, if you listen to the live show that we did last week from Omnia up in Minnesota. Luke fished the St. Jude and had the bright idea of challenging me to, at the time, it was the 1-chip challenge for whichever team finished the lowest. So either I would have to eat it or Luke would. Which I forgot about on day one when I was watching football. But then after day one, I realized team had 12 pounds. We had just shy of 12 pounds. So I was like, okay, we need to pick it up on day 2. So we beat him. That being said, I think that the 1 chip is pulled. So Luke has to eat the entire chip by himself live on air now because we beat him. But that being said, I think they pulled the 1 chip because kid died after eating it, which really... Not laughing at the kid died. I'm just saying that makes it difficult to obtain one right now. So if you are listening and you're a fan of hot sauces, because I am not. But if you're one of those guys who has to try the hottest hot sauce or whatever, and you have one in mind that Luke should have to eat a spoonful of or eat for this challenge, then live on air, let me know. Because like I said, I don't think we'll be able to get a hold of the chip. But are you a hot sauce guy? Do you have to be like that if you grow up in the desert in Arizona? I feel like that's kind of like ingrained into you.
Yeah, dude, I don't know if actual hot sauce is the thing, but spicy food for sure. And over time, I like it more and more. But green chilies are like the big thing that I love, man. Hatch green chilies and stuff. I don't know if you've ever had that.
Nope.
Not raw, no. Like you usually cook them. You cook them and put them in stuff, right? But you add them to a burger, have them in different Mexican foods and stuff. They're really good.
All right. Before the break, I wanted to get your take on this. You're not an OG drop shot guy, but you've been drop shotting for as long as you've been around. Back when it wasn't the thing to do. If you look at the Opens, the Toyotas, the BPT, and the Elite Series, it's playing a significantly higher role in non-traditional settings than it ever has in the past. Have you noticed this? Has it affected your fishing? Are the fish getting conditioned to a drop shot now? Is it impossible to catch them the way you used to on them? I'm just curious on your take on this whole thing.
Yeah, I would say there's definitely more people doing it. And of course, like anything, the more the fish see it, the wiser they'll get to it. But I really feel like, and I've seen it, dude, on high pressure bodies of water, it still is the one thing that they don't get entirely sick of. I mean, you could take Chickamauga, Gunnersville, Pickwick. When you get to midsummer and those fish have seen everything, you can't catch them anymore on 90% of the ledge baits that are good ledge baits, but you can still catch them on a drop shot. And some of our lakes out west, dude, I mean, guys grow up doing it. It's what I grew up doing. I'm 34 now. I've been drop shotting since I was 12 years old. It's been my favorite technique for 20 years. And the fish still bite it. I mean, some of the lakes that we have around town here, that's 75% of what guys do, and it's still the best way to catch them. So it's just so precise. It's so finesse. With the addition of live scope and being able to really clearly see what you're doing, whether it's a standard plastic or, dude, I mean, max scent, like smallmouth, it's amazing how well it still works, even as much as the fish do see it.
10 years ago, what percentage of guys do you think had a drop shot tied on at all times?
On tour, maybe, I don't know. That's a good question, dude. I would say on tour, less than 50%.
In 2023, how many guys have a drop shot in their box at all times?
Yeah, probably 75+%, right?
I'd have to think so. I mean, you got these non-traditional guys that are out there drop shotting everywhere. Do you think it's made it harder to cash checks and have higher finishes because so many more guys are now employing quote unquote finesse techniques?
I don't know. It changes things for sure, because it used to be like a cheat code, right? Like Lucas and Meyer and some of the guys, and even me in the beginning, when we first started fishing back east, it was like, yeah, like those fish didn't see it as much.
Amar,
now,
Brett Hite, Cliff Perch.
Oh yeah, and those guys are even on the previous. They were like, those are some of the OGs right there. Aaron, Brett, Cliff, Murray. Those are the OGs
John
of
Murray.
drop shotting. Yep. So yeah, I don't know, man. I mean, it's hard for me to say because I had my worst year I've ever had this year as far as consistent tournament finishes. But I don't think it was this. I could, try to guess till I'm blue in the face about why this year was tough for me, but it didn't just instantly. It wasn't like a light switch. We're like, hey, all your tricks don't work anymore. I just, things didn't work out in more tournaments than normal. But I don't know, man. I'd say, yeah, of course it makes tournament fishing is getting tougher in general, dude. Guys are getting better across the board. There's more information out there. There's no secrets anymore. It all boils down to now, like going out and making all the right decisions and adjustments during the day and executing. It's not like you can have a secret honey hole anymore and go exploit it, or there's no secret techniques. Even though drop shotting, yeah, it was, dude. Like it was 10, 15 years ago. It was a cool little cheat code for sure.
In order. And I know this will get you in trouble, but I don't care. Give me your top 5 drop shotters. Okay, we're going to do 2 lists here. Top 5 drop shotters of all time from the start of the drop shotting in your experience. And then the next list is going to be top 5 drop shotters currently competing in tournaments.
That's crazy.
It doesn't have to be in order, but let's go best drop shotters of all time. You're 5.
Just
it doesn't have to be in order. Yeah,
not
just
in order
5.
for sure.
Not in order.
And I'm sure I'll miss a couple.
Yeah, you will, and you'll get an angry email about it.
Aaron Martin's is going to be at the top of that list for sure.
Okay.
I got to give the nod to Brett Hite because he he was winning tournaments on it right when it first came out. So he's up there.
Okay.
I've seen Clifford Perch do so much damage. I'm going to give him a spot. I'm already running out of people here. Ayler probably deserves a spot there.
Okay.
And I could keep going, dude.
You got one more for this is your top 5 of all time.
I would say Justin Lucas deserves a spot, but Cody Meyer does too. I mean, I could keep going, dude. There's a lot. There's a lot. Polnick deserves a spot.
Well, here's the deal, because this is the next list. The best.
I know. All right.
Top 5, we'll say drop shotters under 40. How does that sound?
That's cool.
Let's
And
do that.
I mean, the current
drop
guys
shotters
right
under
now,
40.
Lucas, Polnick, Meyer. Who else? There's some of the
You would
guys
have
that
to be
don't
on that list. I know you're humble. You'll never say it, but you'd be on that list.
No, there's
Just
some
won
really
a
good
U.S. Open and Elite Series event.
But yeah, there's guys that have done that too, dude. I don't know, man. There's some of the newer guys at Bass that I know are really good at it that I just haven't been around as much. I know are really good, and there's some, like, I mean, dude, how do you say Wheeler's not right? Like he deserves to be it. You don't think about that, but like, dude, that dude's won more money drop shotting than probably any of us have won in our whole life doing anything else combined. So he's on that list. I'm just trying to think if there's any other specialists. Maybe, I'm leaving a lot of the Japanese guys out too, who are really good at it. Yep. So there's probably a handful of the Japanese guys that
Taco
could probably, he could do circles around me with a drop shot, right? So there's a lot of them. And those are the specialists. And now, you've got everyone can do it well for sure. It's not rocket science.
Do you think that the Demiki rig will take some pressure off of the drop shot?
Maybe.
That's my thought. That the Demiki rig is the trendy one going now. So you got less guys that are drop shotting because they're Demiki rigging instead. Yeah,
for sure. That makes sense, man. And who knows? It's better in some situations. So that definitely helps. But I don't know. I've seen it. I'm not too concerned about the fish just clamming up and not biting it anymore.
Yeah, you don't see him. Is it impossible for him to become conditioned to that because of how natural it is?
Look at a ledge on Chickamauga. You've got, in the middle of the summer, you've got 20 good spots on that entire lake. And there's a boat on them at all times. And there has been for the last 15 years. And they still bite a drop shot. So I don't know, man. I mean, you might have to fish it a little slower. You might get a few less bites, but I don't see it going away ever. I still see it as it's just it's so precise. It's so subtle. You got a good landing percentage once you hook them. It's a great tournament technique, man.
What did it replace? I was trying to think, like, what did everyone throw before all these guys who never really
out west? It was the split shot.
But like on Chickamauga and stuff, are guys throwing drop shots now who were throwing 10-inch worms and jigs?
Correct. Yeah, I was going to say jigs. Yeah, with 10-inch worms. Yeah, absolutely. Carolina rig,
Mm-hmm. But out west, split shot.
Yeah. I think the split shot is the technique that when I was first getting in, that was the finesse technique, and no one does it anymore.
What is that? Just a French fry with a split shot above it on a really light wire, small EWG?
Yeah, basically a drop shot worm. A 4-6-inch straight tail worm with a split shot in front of it. Yep. Or a light Carolina rig. But you just fish it like a Carolina rig on a spinning rod.
Just slow drag it.
Yeah. Yep. I mean, dude, if you talk 80s, 90s, that was really the 90s. That was the way before the drop shotting came out in the late 90s. That was what everyone did out here for sure. And then the Westy worm. Have you ever heard of the Westy worm?
Is that the one that had the 2 hooks in it?
Yeah, it had pre-rigged hooks. It was like a jig head with 2 pre-rigged hooks. And that was like the 80s and early 90s. That was the finesse bait out west. And now
does it have a jig head in it?
Yeah. Yep. A couple crazy colors. It was like black and yellow and then purple and pink. Those were or red and purple maybe. And guys grew like talking about Murray. Murray has won some money on that thing. Yes, that ugly thing right there, dude.
It's a shaky head.
I hear you. No, it's a Westy worm, man.
How would you fish that?
Just like it, just on the bottom. You can see he get hung up on that thing, right? But fish it just like a shaky head or a worm or a Texas rig or something like that. But that was really, really popular back in the day. Like that was the drop shot before the drop shot as well.
Look at this thing.
Ask John Murray about it, please.
This might be I say this with all due respect to Westy, the ugliest bait that I've ever shown on the show.
It's ridiculous, isn't it? And look at those hooks. It's got like gold hooks on it, you know? And they would catch giant fish and somehow they wouldn't bend out. Maybe they would bend out. I don't know. I've never caught one on it.
This is Westy. This is Westy's work.
That's it, man.
.com. It looks like that's like hand-tied fluorocarbon. Like these are all made by hand by a dude.
That's a great question.
Because look at this. That's a knot there, and then it goes into the worm, and you have to thread it, and then there's another hook there.
Yeah, absolutely. Looks like it.
Look at this thing.
That's an abomination right there, dude.
What in the heck is that? Look at this thing.
Weedless. I've never seen that one.
It's sold out.
Hey, they're gonna get a tail biter though, for sure.
Yeah, they'll also have that thing will be coming out of its butt by the time it hits.
Yeah. Think about spotted bass, the way they like to bite the back of things, dude. You'd get every little spotted bass that nibbled on it.
Look at this. Purple polka dot.
White dot, yeah.
Yeah,
I haven't seen a lot of those. And trust me, we're laughing, but they used to catch them.
Oh, no, I'm not making fun of it. I'm just amazed at I'm just amazed at how narrow-minded we are as anglers, saying, oh, there's only, it has to look like this and it has to be perfect. And I mean, even you've heard the stories of Aaron who would dump 60 robo worms out on his deck and throw 55 of them away. And those were the 5 perfect good ones. And you got a guy, guys that are winning boats and making careers like John Murray out of a Westy worm like this that is like, hey, it's good because it's not straight.
I can't believe you never heard of that, dude. It's really like it's not really big anymore. It hasn't been since I started. Like I've never caught a bass on one. I've been fishing for 20 years.
I thought it was more like a K&E. Have you seen the K&E?
I don't know, man. Didn't Cream had a pre-rigged worm back in the day, right?
Yes. Yeah, this one right here.
Whoa. Yeah, that's intense, man.
Yeah, that one's leaves a lot to be desired. Okay, here it is right here. The K&E worm. Pull that picture up for me. Why is that not pulling the picture up? I gotta find it because I gotta show you these because this is what I learned to fish on.
Interesting.
Yeah, here it is right here. Basically like this. Pull the picture. Yep. That thing.
There it is. Okay, very similar. Does it have a weight or no?
No, zero weight. It's got like a 6-inch leader, monofilament leader, 3 little Aberdeen gold hooks in it, and it comes folded up in the package, so it's got a bend to it. And then I'm not saying this is a thing, I'm just saying this is what my dad did. He would put it on a weighted bobber with the ring of lead underneath so you could cast it far, set it about 24 inches on the pond, chuck it as far as you can, and then slowly reel it just straight solid, and that worm would just spin behind that bobber, and it would stay right above the weeds in the pond and just spin, and then all of a sudden the bobber would start taking off to the side.
Interesting.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Yeah, I mean, dude, goes to show that there's all kinds of different ways to catch them.
Yes. And there's some wild colors in this. Obviously, the natural craw was always a big favorite, but we also used. Let me see if they have. Oh, these are the Bass Stopper version, not the K&E, but it looks the same. There were some that black with the white polka dot spots on it was big. It had like 3
You
spots.
need to bring
on
that
the back
color
of it.
back, dude. That should be your next BTL color.
I know. We really should. All right. I know you got packing to do. I appreciate you getting up early. What else you got? Oh, you got Team Series coming up.
Yeah, almost right after the U.S. Open. I've got Edwin Evers and Marty Robinson on my team, so I'm pretty stoked.
Oh, you got
just
a
to fish with those
freaking
guys.
really good team.
I
Have
mean,
you asked MLF if you could trade Marty for one of his kids?
Yeah, no, I've asked Marty, dude, but yeah, that's pretty amazing to watch that family go. It's really cool, actually. Those kids are freaks, and I say that in the nicest way possible. Those kids are unreal. But yeah, Marty's a great fisherman too.
Did
Obviously,
Marshall make
apple
the
doesn't fall-
BPT?
Yeah, he did, dude. So gonna get to see it firsthand next year.
That'll be interesting.
Yeah. That'll be really cool, man. There's 2 father-son teams now on tour, dude, and I guess there could be more coming, right? Like it'll be
Laker Howell, Cal Lane.
Yeah.
There'd
How you
be
gonna compete with these
4,
teams?
and then obviously the Joneses, and then I don't know if Britt Myers Jr. is fishing any of that level.
But he's
stuff,
a good
but
fisherman. I know.
he's-
I know him. He's very good.
And then Bo Browning. We're just a couple years away from Jackson Rambanis.
Yep.
And I'm sure I'm leaving a couple out, but those are the ones that. Oh yeah, those are the ones that come to mind right now.
Yeah.
I mean, those are all guys that. I mean, all those guys I named have a legitimate shot within 3 years to be on the BPT.
You're not kidding. Yeah. Dean's son
If
loves
they
to
choose,
fish too.
if
He's
they
good,
choose
so-
to, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. You
Just-
could. Yeah, you could also have. You could also have a Rojas father-son team.
Yep.
How'd you like to roll into a pocket and there's 2 Rojas's frogging it?
Turn around.
Austin
Go to
on
the
one
next
side, Dean on the other.
No
I'm not
kidding.
getting anywhere
Yeah.
near that.
It's pretty crazy to see. These kids are really good, man. It's pretty awesome. But yeah, when I had the first pick. You know, the way they do it, they go off of the Angler of the Year points the previous year for the draft. So I had the first pick. So
So you were a captain.
I was 27th in points the year before, dude, in the top 27 pick. So
Nice.
I had first
Wait, so
pick.
you got Ed in 27?
Yeah, he was the first pick.
Okay.
You know, he'd made Red Crest, but he finished, I don't know, 40th or something the year before. And then Marty was a great call too, dude. So I don't know. I'm stoked. They're both great guys. They're so competitive, especially
Wait,
Edwin's
so you had the
crazy.
27th pick or the first pick?
First pick. Yeah, sorry. First pick. Because I was 27th in points. And they do reverse order. So like first place in points is gonna pick last. It's like football, right? I was the Chicago Bears, basically, dude.
Yep. You got Caleb Williams.
Exactly. I did.
Yeah. So then you pick. Was that a hard decision for you to figure out who to pick first? Like, how did you come to pick Edwin?
It was funny because like a lot of the guys ended up going with like their friends that they travel with, and you know, I could have done that, and I almost did, because you know you would have great team chemistry.
Like, sorry, Roy.
Bad for my buddies. They were giving me such a hard time. Like, dude, what the heck, man? Like, these guys pick their buddies. And you know, Marty and Edwin, I've known them for a long time. I consider them friends, but I'm not sending them, you know, funny memes on Instagram and stuff 5 times a day, right? Like you do with a couple of your buddies that you're chatting with every day. But dude, for a couple of things, I wanted just a different experience, right? I wanted to be able to kind of get in their heads and learn a little bit from them and share knowledge with each other. That's a different set of knowledge that you normally get at the normal tournaments. And then obviously just to try to do well, right? Like you got Edwin from the middle part of the country, and then Marty from the Southeast. So I figured, you know, you don't know where you're going to fish in these tournaments either. So, you know, I figured, man, if we're in Texas, Oklahoma, Edwin's probably been on that body of water a fair amount, and then same with the Southeast with Marty.
Because I mean, you guys win like $100,000 to split if you win one of these things, right?
Yeah. I mean, the payout's good, and it's just, dude, the whole experience is really neat and unique. Last year, I fished with Brandon Coulter and Andy Morgan, And same idea, right? Like great guys that I have tons of respect for, but not necessarily guys that I'm talking to like every day. So it was cool to get to spend a week with some different guys and get to know them and learn and have fun with some different dudes.
First one's right after the, I don't know if you can, I don't want to get you in trouble as far as, I don't know if they're doing the top secret on where it is or any of that, but it is shortly after the U.S. Open.
Yeah, no, they've already done 2 of them, so they have kept it pretty secret. And we're the last qualifier, so we're fishing. Yep, the last qualifier here right after the U.S. Open. Then they do the championship in November, and then it starts airing in January. So
you have a chance. What's the championship pay?
That's the they've got the payouts. Yeah, that's the one where last year they had paid $100,000 for each guy in the top 3. This year, what we ended up doing was the payout's the same, but we chose to kind of split it more evenly amongst the field. So the first place is still going to pay really well, but you're getting paid really well to just go, to show up. So
and there's no pressure in this deal. I mean, there is, but there's no there is pressure, obviously, because you're fishing for money and it's
dude, here's the pressure. You don't want to let your team down. It's kind of funny. True. Like the old cup style tournaments, dude, like you didn't feel pressure because it was just you. And it's a real different feeling when you're going to bed the night before and you don't know where you're fishing or what you're doing. You're not even in your own boat. When you are fishing a normal tournament, and I know you know the feeling, you are going to bed like, okay, where do I need to start tomorrow? Where do I need to fish? What's going to happen if the wind blows this way? Is this part of my boat? Are my batteries charging? I got to tie that on in the morning. But dude, when you're going to bed and you don't know where you're going to be, it's like you don't have any of that pressure. You're just like, all right, well, I guess we'll just figure it out in the morning and you just go to sleep. It's really weird, but I do have pressure. It's like, yeah, dude, I don't want to let my teammates down. It's a different pressure.
Yeah, you've got probably one of the most high-strung guys to ever fish competitively, and then one of the most easygoing guys to ever fish competitively. So I like how you balanced out the high-strung Edwin with the easygoing Marty Robinson.
Yeah, it's either going to be great or a disaster, but I think it'll be great, dude. I think it'll be great. I love both of those guys, and I'm looking forward to it big time.
Mm-hmm. The other thing I thought is interesting, you have the entire country covered. So if you do any East Coast stuff, the blueback herring, the Carolinas, that whole part of the country, Robinson has the whole Ozark area, that region, Edwin has, and then you have the whole West Coast. So that was well planned out too.
That's huge. That was a huge part of the thought process. I mean, with no pre-fish, being able to go on put the boat in the water and have one of the guys say, look, dude, it goes down in that creek or that creek. That's where we need to be. That's huge.
Clay says, Edwin ain't no team player. He's keeping secrets.
He's too competitive. He can't. It's hilarious, but he's too competitive. He's going to want to win. There's no, I don't think he'll keep any secrets, honestly.
Oh, I see. So you're saying that he wants to win the team deal, so he's going to forego his usual secrecy and maybe divulge some stuff.
Don't you think so? You know him really well, dude.
I think he'll put you guys in the ballpark. I think he'll divulge 90% of it, but I think he'll be like, I'm keeping that other 10%.
What if it's the third period, dude, and we're 10 pounds out, and you think he's gonna lose to keep a secret? I don't.
It 100% depends on who you're fishing against, who's on the other team.
Okay. Really?
I think. Yeah.
I don't know. I don't think so. I think he just wants to win, dude. Period.
I think he'll give you 90% of it, but I think Edwin keeps 10% because he is super competitive and he wants to win championships. And yeah, the team stuff would be nice, but I think he wouldn't be able to sleep at night ever if he knew that if you beat him by an ounce at Redcrest doing something that he taught you in the team tournament.
I don't know. Maybe. I don't know. I feel like he's the type. It's like if he's, throwing sandbags in the backyard.
But I could see to him being like,
any competition.
Yeah, going as whatever it takes. So if that means emptying the arsenal, and you and Marty now have it, I could see him doing that too.
We'll see. I'll get back to you.
All right. I'm gonna let you finish getting packed. I know you have a lot to do, a lot to throw in. You have probably a dozen spinning rods to get ready. and throw in some accent and you're good to go, right?
It'll be a Berkeley tournament again for sure, dude. But yeah, you never know. It could be windy. It could be the fall's already kicking in up there, so there's going to be fish caught on reaction and stuff. So you got to be ready for everything. But yeah, there's some spinning rods in the boat for sure.
I said I greatly appreciate you waking up early and jumping on BTL, defending your U.S. Open title. Next week, you can follow all the action at One Bass, WONBASS. There's all sorts of information on that, on the entire series that they do. Billy does a great job. Like I said, Rick and Bass Cat, big time supporters of that trail as well. So
I'm looking forward to it. Thanks for having me on. Thanks for staying up. You need a nap, dude. I hope you get a good one in your schedule.
Have I been somewhat coherent at least?
I'm amazed. Yeah.
Okay. I've definitely rambled.
You sound good.
I've definitely rambled a little bit and taking some pauses, but I'm going to let you go. When we come back, I'll wrap things up with the St. Jude. We'll look forward to the rest of the week as well. We have a really cool week scheduled for BTL. So see you, Josh.
Hey, let me shout out my podcast, Anglers Happy Hour.
Oh, dang it.
Dude.
I didn't talk to you about that. Are you back in filming?
We're going again. Yeah, we've already done a handful of episodes since we fired it back up. So check. Okay,
I'm gonna have to get back on. No, sorry about that. I usually am really good about that.
Well, I haven't been.
That's a tired
break. So
that's what I thought.
We took a break, but yeah, we're back. So if you guys are all caught up on BTLs and need some more, give that a look. English Happy Hour, and it's on iTunes and the Google Play Store. And then, are you on YouTube yet? Not yet. Not yet. But I've actually got a channel going myself. I'm going to start putting them up under my channel. But anyways, sounds good, guys.
Yeah. See, everyone's saying, yeah, we love.
Thanks, Nick. I know you love it, dude. I appreciate it, man.
All right. See you, Josh.
See you guys.
All right. That was Josh Bertrand. We'll take a break. When we come back, like I said, talk about what we got going the rest of the week. BTL on a Monday. Shoreline Boat and RV, dock rash, storm damage, collision repair, that deep scratch or gouge from trying to access that secret creek. Shoreline Boat and RV can get your prized possession back in mint condition and looking good on the water, fast. All repairs are done in-house, so they're able to get your boat or RV back to brand new, quickly. All Shoreline's work comes with a rock-solid warranty. Find out more at shorelineboatandrv.com. Kansas City, Austin, and Tulsa.
I'm the kind of guy that never leaves a house without a pocket knife, and Gamakatsu's come out with the EDC series of knives. EDC stands for Everyday Carry, so whether you're on the water or off, you can always have it with you. The best thing about it to me is that assisted open feature. With this D2 blade, you've got it right here at your fingertips, so if you can't find your scissors, you need to cut a knot, you need to cut your braid, you've always got it. Make sure you check it out. Never leave home without your Gamakatsu EDC knife.
Born in Japan, using technology, innovation, and precision, Sunline produces the widest selection of fishing lines at the most technologically advanced line factory in the world. Manufactured at the strictest tolerances to produce victories at the highest levels of tournament bass fishing. From household names like Christie, Swindle, and Cruz, to young guns like Cook, Logan, New, and Welcher, they all trust Sunline to take them to the top of the leaderboard. Choose the line that will give you the strength to guarantee your confidence.
Are you looking to install your own fishing electronics? The solution is the Bass Tank Power Harness. It takes the guesswork out of installation. No more voltage issues or interference. Designed by an engineer so that you can get professional results right there in your own garage. Installation done right with the help of the Bass Tank Power Harness. You can feel confident knowing that your installation was done right. The Bass Tank Power Harness. Give us a call or order yours today at thebasstank.com.
Get the best patterns backed by tournament data. Start by finding the best 10% of your lake. Know exactly what to look for and what to throw. After that, you just put them in the boat. Try the Deep Dive app today.
Look at that beast right there.
Having confidence in your tackle while on the water is one of the main things to success, in my opinion. In the last couple of years with Denali, I've had just that. From anything from spinning rods, casting rods, tungsten products, even now to casting and spinning reels, I have the confidence to go out there and get the job done and know that all my equipment is going to handle it and do it just the way I want it. The thing about Denali is you've got great quality products at a great price point, so make sure you check them out.
Have you considered purchasing new electronics for your rig? The type of mounts you choose to protect your investment should be part of the decision-making process. No matter if you prefer 1, 2, or 3 graphs up front, Beatdown Outdoors has a solution for you. Adjustable, versatile, rigid, and made in the USA. What's your ultimate electronics setup? Check out the full selection of Beatdown Outdoors products by visiting beatdownoutdoors.com. All right, welcome back. Wrapping things up here. All right, tomorrow, I'm 99% sure we got this done. He just finished a kayak event on the Susquehanna River. We have Michael Iaconelli, fresh off his induction to the Bass Fishing Hall of Fame. So he's going to talk about how that all went down. Also talk about smallmouth fishing on the Susquehanna there. And then Wednesday, Scott Palmer from the Bass Tank returns. They got a really cool thing going. I think I'm calling it the Bass Tank Academy. Possibly something like that, but he's going to talk about that. We're going to get into some high-end electronic stuff, and then we are back live with Uncle Frank on Thursday. Really cool show that we did, with Scott Bonema. He said, I tried to follow St. Jude's on that real live app. We were not putting them in, Chuck. We were not putting the weights in live. It was just used for the weigh-in. That's why I didn't show any catches. So it was used as the weigh-in so you could follow the weigh-in, not live on the water. But I'm gonna go take a nap after this because it has been a very long but fun 24 hours. So wanted to make sure I came back and got a show in. Also, specialty show Wednesday night, 7:30. We'll talk about it more then because the Open starts on Thursday. So they're all practicing for the Open right now. I am not. Obviously, I'm in the studio in Shawnee, Oklahoma. So not fishing the final Open. It was it would have been like an additional like $4,800 to $5,000 between doing the St. Jude, driving to Florida, flying up to Minnesota to do the St. Jude, flying back, staying by myself, practicing for a day and a half, fishing the tournament, and having no shot at qualifying. So probably 5 years ago, I would have done it, but I'd like to think there's maybe a little bit of maturity and good decision-making in the brain somewhere. So that's why I'm not there. Doesn't mean I'm back at it next year, but we'll have Andrew Upshaw on Wednesday night, and we're going to do a live show at 7:30 p.m. Wednesday, the evening before the final Bassmaster Open of the season. So thanks everybody for jumping on. We're back with a full week of BTLs this week, 8:30 a.m. Big shout out as we get to the end of the year. Remember, if you're listening to this on iTunes or your favorite podcasting platform and have not rated and reviewed, that really helps in the process as we move forward into 2024 and beyond. So thank you for those of you that have done that. And if you hadn't, give us a star and a review. All right, that's all we got for today. Follow the U.S. Open next week. Thanks, Josh Bertrand, for jumping on at 6:30 where he is. So he was bright-eyed and bushy-tailed. I'm not. I'm going to bed now. It's been a while since I've slept. So we'll talk to everybody tomorrow, 8:30 a.m. Mike Iaconelli. Later.